Okay. I always forget to record sometimes. Uh, today we'll start with chapter 10. Everyone has already seen the screen I'm sharing, right?
Right.
Okay,
Which page is that?
let's start with someone to read the first part of chapter 10. Uh, Lily?
Okay, chapter 10. I spent the day hiking in the valley. The, the steep sides of vast mountains towered all around me. It was a sublime and magnificent scene, and it afforded me some consolation. My grief was now removed, but it was doomed. The mountains distracted me from my darker thoughts. That night I dreamed of the mountains. They congregated around me. I saw the unstated snowy mountaintop, the glittering pinnacle. I smelled the pine woods and saw the eagle soaring amidst the clouds. These visions gathered around me and comforted me. In the morning, however, my miseries returned. It was raining and thick mists hid behind the summits of the mountains. I decided to go out anyway. After all, what were the rain and storm to me? I resolved to hike up to the top of Montenvert. I had hiked in before when young. I remembered the effect that the view of the tremendous and never-moving glacier was produced upon my mind when I first saw it. It was given wings to my soul and allowed it to soar from the outer world to light and joy. Looking at the sublime and majestic scenes in nature had always been a help to me. It had helped me forget the passing cares of life.
Uh,
Wait. I decided to go without a guide, for I was well acquainted with the path and I wanted to be alone. The climb is steep, the path zigs and zags. The landscape is terrifyingly desolate, desolate,
that's desolate.
desolate, and in
Yeah.
certain spots the traces of winter advances may be seen. Fallen trees lie broken on the ground. Some are entirely destroyed. Others are bent, leaning upon the jutting rocks of the mountain or on other trees. The path, as you go up, passes through the ravines of
That's
snow.
ravines.
Ravines of snow. In these narrow ravines, the hiker must beware of rock slides. The slightest sound, even speaking in a loud voice, can draw destruction on one's head. I looked down on the valley beneath. Vast mists were rising from the rivers which ran through it. These mists curled and thick wreaths around the mountains. Those summits were hidden in the uniform clouds. Rain poured from the dark sky and added to the melancholy. Alas, why do we human beings boast of our ability to sense more than the animals? By sensing more, we only come to want more and need more. If our impulses are confined to be hunger, thirst, and desire, we might be nearly free, but we are moved by every wind that blows and a chance world or sense that world may convey to us. We rest. A dream has power to poison sleep. We rise, one rending, that pollutes the day. We feel, conceive, or reason, laugh, or weep. Um, Imprints will bond well. or cast our cares away. It is the same, for be it joy or sorrow, the path is definite, still is free. Man's yesterday may never like his tomorrow. Thought may endure, but mortality. It was nearly noon when I arrived at the top. For some time I sat upon the rock that overlooks the glacier. After a while I made my way down to the glacier. The surface of it was very uneven, like the waves of a troubled sea. There are many cracks, which makes it hard to cross. I spent nearly 2 hours making my way across it. From where I stood, Monteverde was exactly opposite, perhaps 3 or 4 miles away. Above and rose Mont Blanc in novel majesty. I remained here for some time, gazing on this wonderful and stupendous defense. The glacier seemed to wind along the mountains like a vast river of ice. Some of the clouds cleared away and the icy and glittering peaks of the mountain began to shine in the sunlight. For a few moments my heart swelled with something like joy. Then suddenly I noticed the figure of a man. He was at some distance but was advancing towards me with superhuman speed. He bounded over the cracks in the ice, among which I had walked with caution. He seemed larger than most men. I was troubled. I felt faint. As the shape came nearer, I realized that it was the wrench form I was created. I trembled with anger and horror. I decided to engage him in mortal combat. He came near. On his face I could see bitter suffering combined with disdain and intense hat- hatred.
That's
Um,
hatred.
hatred.
Oh,
The
sorry.
The unearthly ugliness of that face rendered it almost too horrible for human eyes. At first, anger and hatred robbed me of speech, but I soon recovered and addressed him with furious um, hatred. Devil, I exclaimed, do you dare approach me? Are you not afraid of what I might do to you? Begone, disgusting insect, or rather say that I may tremble you to dust, and oh, that I could, with the wiping out of your miserable existence, restore those victims whom you have so diabolically murdered.
Can you stop now? I want to like. Mm, we'll give the rest to another reader. Uh, Luna.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just start from devil.
Devil, I exclaimed, do you dare approach me? Are you not afraid of what I might do to you? Begone, disgusting insect, or rather, stay, that I may trample you to dust. And know that I could, with the wiping out of your miserable existence, restore those victims who you have so diabolically murdered. I expected this greeting, he said the horrible creature. All men hate me, hate the wretch. How then must I be hated? Who am miserable beyond all living things? You are my creator, I am your creation. You're bound to me by ties that can only be broken by the destruction of one of us, and yet you wish to kill me. How dare you play thus with life? Do your duty toward me, and I will do mine toward you and the rest of mankind. If you will agree to my conditions, I will leave them and you at peace. But if you refuse, I will track down and kill all of who dare to you. Abhorred monster, fight The tortures of hell are too mild a punishment for you or crimes. Wretched devil, you blame me for your creation. Come on, then, I will destroy you. My rage was without bounds. I sprayed on him. Unfortunately, he got away from me and called out, "Be calm. I beg you to hear me before you give way to your hatred. Have I not suffered enough already? Life, although it may only be an accumulation of suffering, is dear to me, and I will defend it. Remember, you have made me more powerful than yourself. I am taller than you and stronger. I will not be tempted to fight with you. I am your great creature, and I will be kind and affectionate to you if you will also perform your part, and that much you owe me. Oh, Frankenstein, do not be just and equitable to every other being, and trampled upon me alone, to whom your justice, your mercy, and your affection are most due. Remember that I am your creature. You created me. I ought to be your Adam, but I am rather before the fallen angel whom you drive from joy for no reason. Everywhere I see joy, everywhere I see happiness, but happiness which I cannot have. I was benevolent and good at first. It is only the experience of misery that has made me a find, make me happy, and I shall again be virtuous. Began it will I will not hear you. There can be no community between you and me. We are enemies. Begone, or let us try your stretch in a fight, in which one must fall. How can I move you? Will no request or please cause you to turn a favorable eyes on your creature? This means nothing to you that I appeal to your goodness and compassion. Believe me, Frankenstein, I was well-meaning and kind. My soul glowed with love and humanity, but now I am alone, miserably alone. You, my creator, hate me. What hope can I gather from your fellow creature? The reject and hate me. The deserted mountains and dreary glaciers are the only place where I feel safe. I have wandered here many days. The caves of ice, which are the fierce, are not frightening to me. These are my dwelling places, and they are the only dwelling place men will leave me. These bleak skies agreed with pleasure, for they are kinder to me than your fellow beings. If the masses of mankind knew of my existence, they would do as you do, and arm themselves for my destruction. Shall I not then hate them who hate me? I am miserable, and they shall share my wretchedness. Yet it is in your power to help me and deliver them from an evil. If you will not do this, then not only you and your family, but thousands of others shall be swallowed up in the whirlwind of rage. Let your compassion be moved, and do not drive me away. Listen to my tale. When you have heard it, you may abandon me or take pity on me, as you shall judge that I deserve.
I believe it's here.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, but hear me, the guilty are allowed by human laws, ready as they are to speak in their own defense before they are condemned. Listen to me, Frankenstein. You accuse me of murder, and yet you would, with a satisfied conscience, destroy your own creature. Oh, praise the eternal justice of man. But I am not asking you to spare me. I'm only asking that you listen to me, that if you can't, and if you will, destroy the work of your hand. Why do you remind me, I replied, of circumstances that I shudder to recall? Why do you remind me that I create you? Cursed be the day, disgusting devil in which you first saw light, and cursed be the hand that formed you. Cursed be those hands if that they are my own hands. You have made me wretched beyond expressions. You have left me no power to consider whether I am just to you or not. Begone, relieve me from the signs of your detested form. Thus I relieve you, my Creator, he said, and placed his hated hand before my eye. Thus I take from you a side which you hate, and yet still you can listen to me and grant me your compassion by the virtues that I once possessed. I demand this from you. Hear my tale, it is long and strange, and the temperatures of this place will make you shiver. Come therefore to my hut on the mountainside. The sun is now high in the heavens, before it descends to hide itself behind those snowy clouds. I illuminate another world. You will have heard my story and can decide. You will decide whether I leave behind forever the neighborhood of man and lead the humblest life, or become the source of suffering of your fellow creature and the author of your own speedy ruins. As he says this, he led the way across the ice. I followed. My head was full, and I did not answer him. However, as I went on, I waged the various arguments that he had used, determined at least to listen to his tale. I was partly urged by curiosity, and compassion confirmed my resolution. I believed that he had murdered my brother, and I eagerly sought a confirmation or denial of this opinion. For the first time, also, I felt what the duties of a creator toward him, his creature, were. I felt that I ought at least to listen to what he had to say before I complained of his weakness. These were the motives that urged me to agree with his demand. We crossed the ice, therefore, and made our way up the opposite rock. The air was cold, and the rain again began to fall. We entered the hut. He went in with an air of joy, but I entered with a heavy heart and depressed spirit. I had made up my mind to listen. However, I sat down by the fire which my repulsive companion had lit, and listened as he began his tale.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, this is where things get very real. Uh, you can see that by chapter 10, we have a lot of uh a lot of the more like darker themes of this book. more the monster is promising to leave Victor and quote unquote quote the rest of mankind at peace if Victor abides by his demands. This is a very questionable promise you see here. Uh, it is quite a bit of a big question if the monster would do it, would actually keep his promise, if would actually really just keep his promise if Frankenstein himself fulfilled it. From so what do you guys think? Will the monster keep the promise? That keep his promise if Victor did something that he did thing that the monster demands. Uh, okay, Lily. Sorry, Luna, the one raising her hand, of course. But right, can you answer my question?
Can you ask it again?
Okay, wait 1 second. So what I'm saying is, do you think that the monster said that Victor to Victor that he will leave Victor and the rest of mankind alone if Victor abides by the monster's demands? Do you think that the monster would keep his promise? Why or why not?
I think that the creature will probably keep his promise. He sounds because I think he sounds sincere, besides they didn't describe what the creature might be, so it doesn't. So they didn't say it was a creature that always tells lies.
Yeah, good point. Good analytics because you can see that with all the language he had here, he very much he very much has a innocence that is portrayed a lot, even though that he is a monster. And you can see it by that by the fact that when the monster sees his creator, he doesn't immediately go and becomes destructive. Became someone who is he becomes someone who is trying to get diplomatics in the way he's trying to say, oh, if you do me this, then do me this favor, then I'll leave you alone. He's not trying to go hand-to-hand combat with Frankenstein when he first met him. So, as a summary of chapter 10, at Chimonix, Victor continues to be depressed and tries to escape it through nature, climbing mountains. But when the views were lifting his spirits, he sees the monster. Of course, as you can see how Victor is, he is very irresponsible, so he curses it and wishes for its destruction. Victor curses the monster without knowing what its intention is, and without knowing for sure the monster murdered William or not. He blames the monster even though that he's responsible for his creation. The monster, okay, so this is a reference, a literary reference that I don't know if most of you guys will know, but here, there is a part here, where is this? 1 second. Here. Remember that I am your creature. You created me. I ought to be your Adam. So if you don't know we're talking about we are like this is what you call a an illusion. So Frankenstein here so here the author is using an allegory, something that contains a hidden meaning, usually moral, spiritual, political, through uses of like very symbolic character and events. Victor's creation as the monster is basically being compared to the creation story from the book of Genesis, in which God created Adam. So here the monster is saying that Victor is his God, like how God created Adam. They are making they are basically trying to compare between the two and say that the two are similar. And this here, you could see that this is very much hitting to the fact that it's hinting to the fallen ego that Victor has had. Victor used to believe of himself as some god who created a creature. Now he is being hailed God by that same creature that he created. But as we've already established, Victor is a creator, but he's no God. He abandoned his creation. By this, we're hinting about the fact that of his ego and how everything that has come with his ego has led to here. The monster also continues that it was once benevolent, turned to violence only after Victor, its creator, abandoned it. It begs Victor to listen to the story. Victor, for the first time thinking about his responsibilities as creator, follows the monsters to a cave in the glacier and sits down to listen. Okay, so here, the monster admits that it took revenge, but claims that Victor has destroyed its innocence by isolating it from humankind, by doing things that made him a monster. So now, I want to do something that is a bit different from what I usually do in other classes. So we will be watching two clips from two. We will be watching two videos, and I want you guys to try and I want you guys to watch the video and then read the chapter for chapter 11, and then we can see the difference between between the written version and the theater version of Frankenstein. By the way, if you're not catching on, Frankenstein has a theater version. A theater version is basically when people go up to a stage, they basically they recreate the story live. So now we'll begin, okay?
Teacher, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Why is the monster? Why is this? Why is the monster named Adam when the creator names Frankenstein? Aren't the monsters supposed to name Frankenstein like in the original?
Okay, so we have never really established in Frankenstein, the book, we have never really established a name for the monster. We just call it the monster. So Adam here, what I'm talking about is here you can say you can see when he said that I ought to be your Adam, he is making a reference to the Bible, the book of Genesis, about how God created Adam, the first human. And he is basically saying that he is talking to Frankenstein as if he's God. Like God created Adam, so he's comparing that to Victor creating the monster himself. So the monster doesn't have a name. It's just a reference of the Bible. Okay, do you have any more questions, or is that clear?
It's clear.
Okay. By the way, if anyone have any questions, just unmute yourself. Okay, so we'll start. Wait, let me. Okay, can everyone see the screen, or?
I can see the screen.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can do.
You okay? So, a bit of a trigger warning. If you guys are squeamish, are any of you guys like scared of
Text.
scared?
Can you put down the text? I don't like text. TXT.
What? Okay, wait. Let me screen share again.
By the way, you mentioned about being scared. It's like you're mentioning it's a horror movie.
The text.
Well, technically, the Frankenstein is classified as a horror story, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more thing that I have never told you guys before, and also I didn't know it until like yesterday. Frankenstein is apparently the same. Frankenstein is a literature work that is used for 12th grades to learn English. So yeah, you guys are doing really great here.
Frankenstein is like a horror movie, was like really down, and it's only a little bit scary.
Yeah, it doesn't have any jump scares though, so I guess it's not like The Nun. Okay, we'll start. Uh,
I can't hear anything.
I can't see the screen. I can't hear anything.
wait, what? Really?
I can't hear anything either.
But can you see the screen first?
I can see the screen, but I can't hear the sound.
I can
Yeah,
see
so I need
Victor
to-
shouting.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see. Okay, wait. Oh yeah, forgot to put share sound, but now we'll do it again. You can see that it's quite, there's a reason why I said it's quite like scary, but in my case, I feel it's cringe.
You are a king, the king of science. Build me a woman, please. I beg you, a bride. A bride should be beautiful. She should have pretty eyes, shining hair. She should not be hideous. She should be as lovely as possible.
Yes.
I will not repeat my mistakes. We can only go forwards. We can never go back.
Master, work your magic once more, I beg you.
Female, I hadn't even considered the question. There are differences of anatomy, of course, but also differences of what? Of temperament, humor, skill.
I don't know.
What are females good at?
I don't know.
Oh my God, what a challenge. If I could build something immaculate, something I could exhibit. Not a demon, but a goddess.
Goddess.
If she was indistinguishable, if she was perfect. Imagine that. I may be damned, but I'll attempt it.
You will comply with my request.
I will comply with your request. If you give me your word that afterward you will leave us be.
I will. If you give me your word that you will do it.
here.
What is that for?
You shake it.
I shake it.
We seal the bargain. Take my hand.
Okay, I'm not being like serious here, but what are your thoughts of this?
It's just so cringy.
That's unhygienic.
What's
I mean-
that thing covered in blood?
It's called makeup.
Ew.
Yeah, you know it.
It kind
Yeah,
of
but-
looks nothing like I imagine in the book.
Yeah, it's kind of it. Sometimes it get lost in translation. Sorry.
It's so cringy. It's supposed to be a horror movie, but it's like a cringy movie.
Yeah, it's kind of cringe.
It's just weird.
Okay, so
Spread out and keep looking. You may be nearby.
Can we watch
Yeah.
this though? Let's see if it's cringy.
do you want to see another clip? This clip is actually from chapter like 6 or 7.
Okay, we can watch it.
This is less squeamish than the last one, because the last one I feel like the monster is a bit like not represented that well.
What are they doing? I cannot see. Yeah,
It's searching for someone, a brother.
it's not like something we read in the chapters.
Yeah.
Watch it. Can we watch it?
Actually, you see that a lot with movies and with theater, because like with every single movie, with every single book, when you try to translate it into a movie, there are things that people will change. They won't do it exactly the same. Like one of the most famous examples is Harry Potter work, of course. A lot of people have like uh watched Harry Potter, and if you also read the book, you know how different everything
Can
can
we
be.
read a Harry Potter book? Because I was like loving the Harry
You'll get out of the phase soon enough, because I assure
I
you
was
there are
reading
better books than Harry Potter.
book 3. I only read book 3. Book 1, 2, and 3.
You read book 3? Okay, you've only read book 3 to book 3?
Yeah, to book 3.
Okay, I'll do a spoiler.
But I did watch of the movies of Harry Potter, but I still don't remember that.
Okay, someone just said that it looks like the movie Corpse Bride, and I'm like, I have not made that like connection before, but now it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Watch this.
I've watched Corpse Bride, and when I see this, I think it's yeah.
Somehow I've never realized that before, but yeah, that fits so well actually. Now let us go. So here, you can see that it is vastly different.
What do they mean by getting married?
Yeah, that's Elizabeth. If you didn't know.
Okay.
I'm getting.
Yeah,
What is
Elizabeth is
in the
very
boat?
different.
What is in the boat though?
I
William's
think it's
body.
William's body, and he's dead.
Yeah. So
Who?
That was fun.
William.
I think it's cringe. Really cringe.
Yeah, really cringe.
It's old theater. It's old theater. It's going to be cringe. Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
going to be cringe.
The word idiot is not very cringy because it's too cringy, and I don't like watching cringe movie.
Okay, so it's actually not that cringe. It's kind of like old timey theater.
Cringe
Like-
make like eyes.
Something that like I'd say like most old people enjoy. Yeah, the monster being like a giant chimpanzee is like kind of on brand. Although most of the time he's green, so I don't know why.
I thought of a green monster with a scar across his head.
Yeah, actually, I think there is like an animated show. I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, there is, but it's like an anime. So I'm not sure if you guys like that.
I'd rather watch it.
Yeah, let me see if I can source some of the clips from there because most every single one of the anime thingy is very different. It's from 1981 though, so yeah, it's not gonna be that good. Uh, there's also a part, it's in chapter 12 or 11, uh I don't really remember, but there's a clip that I really want you to see, but you guys need to read chapter 11 first because I don't want to spoil anything. And just spoiling is just like not good in general. I just don't like spoiling when reading something. So we'll start with chapter 11 and then I'll see if I can squeeze enough time to read to do a little exercise, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to read chapter 11? Sarah.
Okay. It is hard for me to remember all these days of my existence. All the events of those days appear confused and fuzzy. A strange multiplicity of sensations seized me, and I saw, felt, heard, and smelled all at the same time. A long time passed before I learned to distinguish the operations of my various scenes. By degrees, I remember, a strong light pressed upon my nerves. It was so bright that I was obliged obliged to shut my eye. Darkness then came over me and troubled me. But hardly had I felt this when, by opening my eye, as I now suppose, the light poured upon me again. I walked. The light became more and more annoying to me, and the heat wearied me as I walked. So I sought a place where I could get some shade. I thought it in a forest near Islate. And and
Here.
then and then and there I lay by the side of a brook, resting from my fatigue until I felt tormented by hunger and thirst. This woke me from my nearly sleeping state, and I ate some berries which I found hanging on the tree lying on the ground. I drank some water from the brook, and then lay down to sleep. It was dark when I awoke. I felt cold and frightened, finding myself all alone. Before you leave your apartment, I had covered myself with some clothes. Unfortunately, though, these were not enough to protect me from the dews of the night. I was poor, helpless, miserable wretch. I knew nothing, only that I felt pain. I sat down and wept. Soon a gentle light stole over the heavens that gave me a sensation of pleasure. I I started up. I
Um,
started up and saw a radiance of rise from among the trees. I know now it was the light of you humans called the moon. I gazed on it, and with a kind of wonder. It moved slowly, but it lit up my path. I again went out in search for berries. Under one of the trees I found a huge cloak, which I covered myself, and sat down upon the ground. No distinct ideas occupied my mind. All was confused. I felt light, and hunger, and thirst, and darkness. Innumerable sounds rang in my ear, and on all sides various scents greeted me. The one object that I could distinguish was the bright moon, and I fixed my eye on that with pleasure. Several changes of the day and night passed, and the moon has worn away to a silver, when I began to distinguish my sensations from each other. I gradually saw plainly the clear streams that supplied me with drink, and the trees that shaded me with
What?
their foliage. I was delighted when I first discovered that a pleasant sound, which I often heard, came from the throat of the little winged animal who has often blocked the light of my eyes. I began also to observe with greater accuracy the form that surround me. I noticed the radiant roof of light above me. Sometimes I tried to imitate the pleasant songs of the bird, but was unable. Sometimes I wished to express my sensation in my
In my
own
own
way.
way.
But the awkward sounds which came from me frightened me into silence again. The moon disappeared from the night, and again with a less form showed itself. I still remained in the forest. My sensations had by this time become distinct, and my mind received every day additional ideas. My eye became accustomed to the light and began to notice objects in their right form. I was able to distinguish an insect from a plant, and by degrees one plant from another. I found that the sparrow uttered none but harsh,
Uh,
harsh notes, while the song of a blackbird and thrush was sweet and attractive. One day, when I was cold, I found a fire which had been left by wandering makers. Oh, what a discovery that was! I was overcome with delight at the warmth I experienced from it. In my joy I thrust my hands in the red-hot coals, but quickly drew it out again with a cry of pain. How strange, I thought, that the same cause should produce the opposite effect. I examined the materials of the fire, and found it to be made of wood. I quickly collected some branches, but they were wet and would not burn. I was pained at this. I sat still and studied the fire. The wet wood which I had placed near the heat dried and caught fire. I thought about this, and by touching the various branches I discovered the cause. I then busied myself by collecting a great quantity of wood, that I might dry it and have a plentiful supply of fire. When night came and brought sleep with it, I worried that my fire would burn out. I covered it carefully with dry wood, and placed wet branches upon it. Then, spreading my cloak, I lay on the ground and sank into sleep.
Can we see the picture?
okay, so we'll change our readers. Luna.
It was morning when I woke up. My first care was to visit the fire. I uncovered it, and gentle breeze quickly fanned it into a flame. I observed this also and made a fan out of some branches, which roused the ember when they were nearly extinguished. When night came again, I found with pleasure that the fire gave light as well as heat. The discovery of fire was also useful to me in another way, for I found some of the foods that travelers had left behind had been roasted on fire and tasted much better than the berries I gathered from the trees. I tried therefore to prepare my food in the same way, placing it on the burning coals. I found that the berries were spoiled by the fire. However, the nuts and roots were much improved. Food, however, was becoming harder to find. I often spent the whole day searching in vain for a few acorns to eat. Since food was scarce, I resolved to leave the place where I had been living, to seek one where my wants would be more easily satisfied. Of course, this meant leaving behind the fire. I had obtained the fire by accident, and I did not know how to recreate it. I gave several hours to the serious consideration of this difficulty, but I could not think of any way to transfer the fire. At last I wrapped myself up in my cloak and struck out across the woods towards the setting sun. I passed 3 days in these rambles and at length discovered some open country. A great snowstorm had taken place the night before, and the fields were covered with snow. I found my feet chilled by this cold, damp substance that covered the ground. It was early in the morning. And I longed to find food and shelter. At length I spotted a small hut. It stood on a rising ground and had doubtless been built for the convenience of some shepherd. This was a new sight to me. I examined the structure with great curiosity. Finding the door open, I entered. An old man sat in. He was sitting near a fire over which he was preparing his breakfast. He turned on hearing a noise, and seeing me streak along, he exited the hut and ran across the field. His flight somewhat surprised me, but I was filled with delight by the appearance of the hut. Here the snow and rain could not enter. The ground was dry. I greedily ate what was left of the shepherd's breakfast. It consisted of bread, cheese, milk, and wine. I did not like the wine. That overcome by fainting. I lay down among some straw and fell asleep. The sun was high in the sky when I awoke. I decided to begin my travels again. I put what was left of the peasant's breakfast in a little bag. I found that I walked across the fields for several hours, until at sunset I arrived at the village. How amazing that village seemed to me! The huts, the neat cottages, and the stately houses engaged my admiration. The vegetables in the garden, the milk and cheese that I saw placed in the windows of some of the cottages, stirred up my appetite. I entered one of the cottages, but this did not turn out well. I had hardly placed my foot within the door when the children shrieked, and one of the women fainted. The whole village was stirred up. Some of them fled. Some of them attacked. I was seriously bruised by the rocks and stones, but I escaped. At length, I took refuge in a hovel. This hovel was located next to a cottage of a neat and pleasant appearance. However, after my recent experiences, I dared not enter. My place of shelter was constructed of wood, but the ceiling was so low I could barely sit up in it. It had a dirt floor, but it was dry, and although the wind entered it by innumerable holes, I found it gave me protection from the snow and rain. Here, then, I retreated and lay down. I was happy to have found a shelter, however miserable from the bad weather for season, and still more from the cruelty of man. As soon as morning dawned, I crept out of the hovel so I could view the cottage next door. The hovel was situated against the back of the cottage. It was surrounded on its open sides by a pigsty and a clear pool of water. There were some openings in the walls through which I might be seen. I covered these up with stones and wood, yet in such a manner that I could move some of them when I was ready to leave. It was very dark, but it was good enough. Having thus arranged my dwelling and carpeted it with clean straw, I retired, for I saw the figure of a man at a distance, and I remembered too well my treatment the night before. I had a loaf of coarse bread which I had stolen, and a cup with which I could drink more conveniently than from my hand, of the pure water which flowed by my dwelling. The floor of the hovel was a little raised, so that it remained dry. because it was not too far from the chimney of the cottage. It was tolerably warm. My little home was a paradise compared to my former residence in the forest. I ate my breakfast with pleasure, and was about to remove a piece of wood from the side of the hut to get a little warm, when I heard a step. Looking through a small chink in the roof, I saw a young creature with pale hair. The girl was young and gentle to me, unlike what I had found cottagers and farmhouse servants. Yet she was poorly dressed. She wore a rough blue petticoat and a linen jacket. Her fair hair was braided, but not adorned. She looked patient but sad. I lost sight of her, and in about a quarter of an hour she returned with the pail, which was now partly filled with milk. A young man met her, whose face expressed a deep unhappiness. Uttering a few sounds with an air of melancholy, he took the pail from her hand and carried it to the cottage herself. He followed, and they disappeared. In a little while I saw the young man again, with some tools in his hand, across the field behind the cottage. The girl also kept space, sometimes in the house and sometimes in the yard. On examining my darling, I found that one of the windows of the cottage had formerly occupied a part of it, but the panes had been filled up with wood, and one of these was a small and almost imperceptible chink through which the eye could just penetrate. Through this crack a small room was visible, whitewashed and clean, but very bare of furniture. I walked toward the room. Near a small fire sat an old man, leaning his head on his hands in a discouraged manner. The young girl was occupied in arranging the cottage. But presently she took something out of a drawer, which employed her hands. She sat down beside the old man. He then took up some instrument and began to play and produced sounds weirder than the voice of the thrush or the nightingale. It was a lovely sight. Even to me, a poor wretch who had never beheld anything beautiful before. The silver hair and benevolent expression of the aged cottager won my respect, while the gentle manners of the girl charmed me. He played a sweet mournful tune, which drew tears from the eyes of his amiable companion. The old man took no notice of other sounds audible. He then produced a few sounds, and the girl leaving her room felt as he speak. He raised her to his feet and smiled with such He raised her to her feet and smiled with such kindness and affection that I felt sensations of a peculiar and overpowering nature. They were a mixture of pain and pleasure, such as I had never before experienced, either from hunger or hope, warmth or food. I withdrew from the window, unable to bear these emotions. Soon after this, the young man returned with a load of wood. The girl met him at the door and helped to relieve him of his burden. She took some of the wood into the cottage and placed it on the fire.
Uh,
Then she and the youth went apart into a corner of the cottage, and he showed her a large loaf of bread and a piece of cheese. She seemed pleased and went into the garden for some roots and plants, which she placed in water and then up on the fire. She afterwards continued her room, while the young man went into the garden to dig up some more roots. After about an hour, the young woman joined him, and they entered the cottage together. The old man had, in the meantime, been pensive. However, when his companions returned, he assumed more cheerful air, and they sat down to eat. The meal was quickly finished. The young woman began to tidy up the cottage, while the old man walked before the cottage in the sun for a few minutes, leaning on the arm of the youth. Nothing could exceed in beauty the contrast between these two excellent creatures. One was old, with silver hair and facial expression beaming with kindness and love. The other was light and graceful in his figure. His features were really attractive, yet his eyes expressed great sadness. The old man returned to the cottage, and the youth was tools different from those he had used in the boat. directed and stepped across the field. Thank you, but to my astonishment, I found that the cottagers had a way of driving away drunkards by the use of candles. I was delighted to find that the setting of the sun did not put an end to the pleasure experienced in watching my human neighbors. In the evening, the young girl and her companion were employed in various occupations, which I did not understand. The old man again took up the instrument, which produced the divine sounds that had delighted me in the morning. As soon as he finished, the youth began not to play, but to utter songs that were pentant. The air resembling the harmony of the old man's instrument, nor the sounds of the bird, nor the songs of the birds. I found out later that he was redeemable, but at that time I knew nothing of words or letters. The family, after having been thus occupied for a short time, put out their candles and went to sleep.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, chapter 11. So, basically, recapping this chapter, the monster describes its early days after being created, running from Victor's apartment, seeing light and dark, feeling hunger, cold, discovering fire, and its ability to both cook and burn. The monster's development here, you can see, very much mirrors how mankind has evolutionized. But as they went from mere beast, cavemen, to the distinguishedness of men that they think they are today, they also lost a lot of their innocence. You can see that Shelley has very has intentionally added in the fact that Frankenstein has been able to discover fire, like how the old tales were of humans being able to discover fire as well. In the chapter, wherever the monster goes, its appearance terrifies humans, so it decides to avoid them. Eventually, it finds a place to hide in the darkness near the side of a cottage. Inside, it sees an old man. It sees a woman, a man, and it watches at their daily things. The monster is very much pained and sad of its isolation. It had to endure, it had to go through, not because of its nature, it's not evil, no, but because of its appearance. The family is an example of the domestic affection that it craves. It craves something that is kind of like Victor's family, something that is, well, picture perfect. It sounds perfect, no? You can see that it still is perfect. So with that, we will go on with the second clip. Wait. Can everyone see and hear the ad or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
That music looks a bit familiar.
Well, I think I can hear it, but I can't see it.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, this is also a little cringe.
Why is
You stay here, Maria. I'll just take a look at my traps. Now we'll go to the village and have a grand time, huh?
I think you need captions because it's the southern accent, so it's kind of hard to listen to. That's Victor.
You stay here, Maria. I'll just take a look at my traps. Now we'll go to the village and have a grand time, huh?
You won't be long, Daddy.
Oh, no. Hans goes by, tell him I'll be back soon.
Kit Kat.
Daddy, won't you stay and play with me a little while?
I'm too busy, darling. You stay and play with the kitty, huh?
Bye, Daddy.
Goodbye. Be a good girl now.
Come on, kitty.
Very cute.
Okay, that's scary, but yeah.
Who are you? I'm Maria. Will you play with me? Would you like one of my flowers?
I think it's just a normal movie.
You have those, and I'll have these. I can make a boat. See how mine float? No, you're hurting me! No!
Okay, yeah, that was the thing.
Is that girl dead?
No, she's not, but
Did you swim?
I don't know. Okay,
You know how to swim?
I think I don't really love the monster.
yeah, I mean, like he's a monster. He doesn't know like human stuff. How does he was never told how to like act like act like a human. So
He was never told that the human couldn't float.
so yeah, you can't really blame him, but how do we know?
I think they need to tell him how to if they
I thought that was
something they need to tell.
Why does the monster throw the girl in the water?
Because like
He's
they were
confused.
trying to make a pun, like the lily was a flower, so like the lily would
So
float.
he think that Lily was float.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's kinda
Pretty actually feel
He thinks Maria will float.
He is very pretty. He is very pretty.
Sorry, he thought Maria would float, so yeah.
yeah. Wait, he would do float.
Yeah, you could float, but only if you can swim.
Yeah.
It's a
I
bad
hope she can swim or she's gonna be dead right now.
I think if they act the movie, the girl needs to be a professional swimmer.
I think the pond can be like a
I
fake
don't
pond.
even understand the monster. It's okay.
Okay, the monster is very like
Confused.
difficult to say kind of character, to be honest.
Okay, now
playing with him.
you said, what are we doing now?
Okay, so here we go.
You said they
What
want
will
to
we watch next?
Okay, I want you to show. Oh wait, here. I want you to list out the similarities and differences between the book and the film version of the scene. And if you see that the written story or the film adaptation is better. I've already sent the entire book in the chat. Just check it. It's in the
How many chapters do we have?
We have 24 chapters, and now we're at chapter 11. So great job.
Oh man.
Anyways, come on, let's go. It's 19 now. So I want to see how I want you guys to try and at least finish the first question if you can before the class ends.
I think I can maybe nail question. But are we doing our Padlet?
You can just send it here in the chat.
What do we do now?
You can just check the chat to see the see what I've just sent. So yeah.
I don't really remember, but is there a part in the book that the monster throw Lily in the water?
You'll have to check for yourself. Let me
Okay.
see. Wait, let me see. I'm trying to see here. Young man called Felix. Wait 1 second. I can't see it. I think Maria is not even not in there. So yeah. I don't think Maria is in there.
Okay.
What do we do now?
Just check the chat, yeah.
Check
Did you
the
not
chat
see
then.
Did you not see the chat I've just sent? The message I just sent?
Yes, I see it.
Yes, so complete it.
All right. on the file Microsoft Word.
You can just work in the chat here. Or you can just like work on Google Docs or on Word or whatever and then post and then just copy it here.
So where should I send it?
Oh, all right. Let me see.
Can I send it on what now?
Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Same plot, mostly same characters. Movies are cringe.
Yeah, it's cringy, but can you send it on that link though?
I'll send the link. Okay. Wait, how do I send?
Or let me see if my cloud
Okay,
here
this is like
the
the
packages
links.
that I put back. I saved here. Yeah, I got back.
These are the links for the clips. Hope you guys enjoy them, although all of them are cringe.
Hey, you should go in and you guys should go into Bartlett because I'm sensing this. I don't know why I think horror movie into cringy movie. What's the subject? Well, yeah, I don't want any suspicions. I didn't actually send it. I already sent it. And I'm
Yeah, I
not
saw it.
I'm not gonna watch any time
The act
on
of
YouTube.
creation. Okay. Monster's not really the same. In the movie, he can't talk, but in the book, they talk like rappers.
I think the monster in the movie they also talk with Victor.
No, in
Yeah.
the movie that we just watched, the anime one.
Okay, anyways, we have the anime here. Right. Okay, I think the anime is better, to be honest, because it isn't that bad. Here we go. A little anime treat. It's already 4:30, but like,
Send in the chat that and someone wants to watch anime or something.
yeah, okay. So, this anime is actually 1 hour and 30 minutes, almost exactly. So, I don't know if you guys want to, but we'll watch the first 5 minutes of it. And then you guys can watch it on your own time, okay?
Limited.
Okay, we'll do it 5 minutes only.
Okay. I was wishing it would be 6 minutes.
Come on.
Okay, and really
My name is Belbo. Chief Inspector Belbo.
Are you sure?
This report is the result of my investigation into the deaths attributed to the so-called Giant of Geneva. I have forbidden my publishers to release it until after my death. I believe it will prove once and for all the existence of the so-called monster of Frankenstein.
Okay, I don't like this kind of anime. Are you deciding to kill someone? Ew, someone's trying to kill people.
I always wonder, why does he have
Sir Cal, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Our creation needs only one more thing. The spark of life. Sir Cal, hurry! We need the power now. But Victor, I'm not sure what is it? We are about to accomplish something that scientists have only dreamed of, and we haven't a moment's time to waste now. We're going to bring hope to every person afraid of dying.
I think we're too young to watch this.
You consider the moral...
I don't like it.
Okay. Alright then.
Trying to kill somebody.
Okay.
You tried to kill somebody.
Can I leave?
Yeah, of course, sure. No worries.
Okay, thank you.
Implications of what you're about to do. Damn it, man! I'm afraid you're...
Damn it. Stop listening to it.
Anyways, sorry about that. I didn't think that you
don't
guys
like
didn't not like it that much.
Yeah, you tried to kill
I
me.
think I'm a little too young to watch that.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 11.
Basically the same. But anyways, actually, if you guys didn't know, um, how Frankenstein was created is that he was taken from dead bodies to be stitched together. So yeah.
So is that why there are so many stitches on his
not
body?
limit
Yep.
for me.
Oh, that makes sense.
I
And there's a
it's
film
not
named
a limit for me.
Frankenweenie.
Who cares? But like no, like I really just like okay. So it's the reason why it's called a horror movie
Limited for me because
most of the time.
mom do not allow me to watch horror movie.
I mean, you just watch you just read Frankenstein, so that doesn't count, right?
Yeah, read don't count because I don't scared of reading. I just scared of watching it.
All right, everyone, it's already 35. Let's end this class. 下课.
It's time. And I think we should stop reading. It's time. We have to finish reading.
No, this is like the climax, a part of it, so don't worry. Like this is the worst that's going to get.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Kate.